Welcome back to Everyday Economics, the podcast that helps you learn about the economic world happening around you every day. I'm your host, Chris Krug, CEO of the 501c3 nonprofit, nonpartisan Franklin News Foundation. Everyday Economics is a production of America's Talking Network, and you can subscribe to all of our podcasts at americastalking.com. To support Everyday Economics, please make a tax-deductible charitable contribution by clicking the link in the show description. We're recording this episode on Wednesday, April 24th, and joining me as always, my dear friend and dearest, perhaps, colleague. No, dearest for sure, colleague. Dr. Orphe Divounguy, the PhD economist. Dr. O, we're sort of doing a little bit of show planning, and I think I shared with you that I have a soon-to-be, 1 year away, college-bound daughter, and we have been having a lot of conversations around the house about, the value of college and how to pick a college. And I thought it'd be kind of interesting for people that are in my situation and for some of our younger listeners who are thinking about, their future, to do a few episodes on this particular subject. I mean, it's one of the largest expenses that Americans take on, short of buying a home. Choosing a college that leads to a career is a significant decision that one should not enter into without doing some research, without having some conversations with those who you intend to help support you, or some self-reflective time to consider what it is that you really want to do. It's a big ask, but it's a big price tag too. I wanted to start with this subject, inside of this decision space, sort of the cost value matrix of college itself. And, there's a story in Axios about a month ago about, I'll just tell you the headline of it. The headline of it is, "Show this chart to anyone who tells you college isn't worth it." And that was written by Emily Peck of Axios Markets. And it does show the median annual wage for recent graduates measured in the most recent period at $60,000 in 2023 for those who have a bachelor's degree versus $36,000 a year for those who do not, who have a high school diploma. Certainly there's a little bit more complexity than what's in that chart, but what are the economic considerations of choosing to attend college at this point?
Well, look, I think the most important has to be like what you're going to actually study, right? Ultimately, your lifetime earnings are going to depend significantly on the supply and demand of the skills you are going to be bringing to the workforce. And so, even for the, highest paying jobs today, if there's a huge increase in the supply of those graduates, right, the people skilled to do those jobs, without a strong increase in the demand for those skills, well, the premium is going to fall. And so it won't pay off as much as it would have had demand for those skills increased. So very important to take all of that into consideration. But ultimately, what Axios try to do here is they pointed to the fact that, when you look at the data, having a bachelor's degree still pays off considerably more than not having one. Obviously, it's going to depend, again, on the type of degree that you go off to study, but also on the skills that you're going to acquire. I'll take my own example. For example, the degree that doesn't necessarily matter today as much as the skills that you're able to bring to the workforce. Degrees are somewhat of a signal, of course, and we can go into this. I mean, today, the highest early career wages and the lowest unemployment rates are going to be for people who go and study computer engineering. Computer engineering has a 2.3% unemployment rate, $80,000 starting salary, $125,000 mid-career salary. Ranks at the top as of February 2024, according to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. They have a publication on the labor market for recent graduates. In second place, chemical engineering, computer science, aerospace and engineering, electrical. You'll notice the engineering is everywhere here, right? And then you'll have the finance, the math, the economics.
But these would be, I think, if we kind of put them into categories, that these would be education paths that lead to hard skills. I mean, these are hard skills. These are not soft skills. These are not marketing degrees, not philosophy degrees, not art degrees.
That's right. With huge returns in the tech services, tech sector, you also have healthcare. I think healthcare, even if you just look at the latest labor market reports, the latest jobs report, right? Healthcare is adding jobs at a ridiculous pace. And by ridiculous, I mean, it's a positive thing. It's amazing pace right now. You also have construction because of the housing shortage across the country, and also the fiscal spending that's going into building new infrastructure, et cetera, et cetera. The demand for construction workers, specialty trade contractors is up a lot. And so construction is also one of those, right? So again, healthcare, nursing, but also construction, medical technicians are going to be part of those people that are going to be rewarded the most in the labor market today.
So one thing to keep in mind in this decision about, is college, we've really worked as inside this country, for better or for worse, to send more people off to college. And I say for better or for worse because, obviously we're, as a nation, specifically within the Biden administration, we're trying to develop student loan forgiveness plans and actually have implemented some. The average student loan rate right now is 5.5%, which is pretty much right in line with the Fed rate. But that's not insignificant. And the average American graduate, and this only considers those who have graduated, not those who started, took loans and haven't graduated and don't have the degree, but those who have graduated have an average debt, and I've seen a couple of different figures, but it's ranging between, I'd say, $35,000 and $40,000 based on the data points that I've seen. And I mean, that is basically, it's like a car purchase. I mean, it's not an insignificant amount of money, whether you're trying to pay that back in 5 years or 10. That will be, a factor that counts against the wages that you ultimately make or earn. But I mean, the roll of the dice that you're making there is that you are going to do something with this degree that allows you to make more money to pay that loan back. But there's, if you go to college, the typical person is borrowing to do that. And the average person who does borrow leaves, let's just say, with about $37,500 worth of debt. And they have to concern themselves with that over time. It's still significantly more on the earning side for a college degree. It's $60,000 versus $36,000. But that person who doesn't spend any money on college, I mean, they don't have any student debt.
Yeah. I mean, look, the people who benefit the most from the student loan forgiveness are going to be people who spent the most time in college, who took on the most debt, and who are not working today, right? The guys who have great jobs, who took on a lot of debt, who have great jobs, are not out there cheering for student loan forgiveness. They could care less. It's a windfall, though, for them, right? And we should really question whether or not we want to give money to high income, high earning engineers, doctors, and lawyers, right? As a country. I mean, there are other priorities. There are probably better things we could be doing with our tax dollars, right? But yeah, I think the biggest supporters of student loan forgiveness are going to be the ones that took on the most debt, ended up getting a degree studying for something that doesn't pay a ton. And at the bottom of the list, with the highest unemployment rate among recent graduates, it's going to be the people who studied liberal arts, fine arts. They're earning, according to the New York Fed report I cited earlier, they're making $38,000 a year. They have an unemployment rate of roughly 7.9%, almost 8%. Art history majors, 8% unemployment rate. They're the ones that are kind of like, they don't earn much and they don't find jobs at a fast enough speed because there's just not a ton of demand for those skills out there right now, unfortunately.
Let's go back and talk about college choices in the next segment as it pertains to the opportunities in the market. But this is a good start. For Orphe Divounguy, this has been Chris Krug. Subscribe to Everyday Economics and dozens of other quality podcasts at americastalking.com.
Do you care about classroom curriculum, transparency policies, and how your taxpayer dollars are invested in education, but you find it hard to cut through the partisan noise? Chalkboard News is bringing you straight news reporting on public K-12 education. We're talking news without spin. Chalkboard News publishes fact-based stories that make sense to parents, teachers, and readers who have skin in the game. Get this news delivered to your inbox for free by signing up at chalkboardnews.com. Subscribe today at chalkboardnews.com.